What's up, everybody? It's Joe DRT, Joe Dirt the Guru. Some of you know me personally, some of you really don't. Maybe you don't even care what I'm about to tell you. Um, I've been asked to make a series of videos as I continue my abilities to relate new information to people. A lot of us that were raised in Western culture, American society, we're raised with a certain construct and belief that, especially men, I'm beard, tall, I pee out of a certain type of receptacle. We're given some sort of idea about ourselves. It was a false belief. Many of us are going to die with that false belief, and will not let go of it. Um, it's our so-called truth. Ego death is an unrelatable experience for many. I've experienced ego death multiple times in my life, which gave me strength and rebuilt my own ideas of self. After my dad had passed away in 2014, um, I was given an opportunity for the first time in my life to have a little bit of extra money so I could quit working around society, and I did that. I walked away from so-called job opportunities in order to go deep dive within myself and start to travel. I went to Colombia. I learned Spanish so I could relate to people that I learned to love who lived there. Um, After that experience, things fell apart again because I found that I was relating to people that suffer from a worldwide disorder known as NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. I accidentally fell into a marriage that was unsuitable for any human being, and for some reason I thought I was so powerful I could keep it going. After that marriage dissipated, I had another ego death experience. I was asked by my then wife to go on a drug known as Cymbalta, and Cymbalta changed my chemistry, my brain, made me manic, extremely manic, depressive, and even had suicidal thoughts for the first time in my entire life. And I was actually feeling pressured to move forward with those thoughts. The person I was in a relationship with laughed at me, ridiculed me, told me I was less of a man, and she could not see herself being in my presence, and gave herself willingly to a relative of mine who I had created a business, a relationship with, so that we could become entrepreneurs and make some money to cover our expenses. I invested heavily in that person, and for whatever reason, she chose alcoholism, drug addiction, and sex addiction over a quality human being, which is me. I know what I am. I've always known what I am. Since I was born, I was given specific gifts, one of which is to speak and communicate with people. When I married, my then wife asked that I not communicate with people and just focus on her, which I did, and I gave her lots of insights and power, which she then used against me. And it did help her. She became a millionaire inside of 2 or 3 years, and I actually didn't do that. Because of the situation, I became extremely depressed and moved into living situation that was basically my car or a friend's place or something like that. And I just wanted to deep dive after that experience, deep dive. Those people started seeing something in me though during that time frame. They heard me speak prolific thoughts. They heard me speak about psychic awareness, and I even told them that I knew what they were doing at the end, and they told me I was lying. They were sleeping together while we lived in the same house, but they had to create a scenario where I looked like the bad guy, and so my then person went to 4 or so community members that knew of me to to write long letters about how I'm an emotionally abusive person and how I maybe was a danger to her and myself or whatever, which wasn't true. In that moment, when she began her journey into romance with my family member, they were drinking heavily together and trying to hide their sexual activities from me. But I actually knew what was going on. It came to me just in my sleep. They refer to that as psychic intuition. It's a scary thing to be in a relationship with a person like me, because I already know what you're doing and thinking before you do it. And I try to build up a courage to speak towards it so that I'm not accusing people, just to say, hey, you might not want to do this. It could be dangerous for you. I even tried to save her from her own self, but I couldn't. Years later, this is like 3 years later, man, that person and my ex-family member are, without question, in a bad place. Addiction, narcissism, and sociopathic narcissism took over their relationship, from what I understand. This is built upon a mainframe where we were guided as children to see ourselves as victims by adults that had already seen us as an opportunity. When I say us, myself and my former relative, which I do not consider family, and I know that he's going to pass in a very ugly fashion, and that's his lot in life. I built a strength around myself, an unconditional self-love, and I repeatedly tell people, audiences everywhere, that I was sexually abused as a child. So was my other family member. He's a little bit younger than me. And men and women that grow up into adulthood that are childhood sex slaves to family oftentimes become sociopathic and desire to hurt others, very much so. They love to get into altercations. They love to create an environment of anger and constant betrayal in order to continually put a cycle into their life of self-sabotage and abuse. Even me speaking on this subject is hurtful. It's arrogant, because I'm saying things that nobody wants to say, and they don't want me to say these things, because there's children behind us that may see these videos. Those are the children that I'm speaking for. I'm breaking something known as family trauma. I'm breaking the silence. I'm breaking the code. I'm a snitch in a big way when it comes to sexual abuse of children and sociopathic upbringings. For me, in the early stages of childhood, I think that I don't even have the memories because there's gray spots, but definitely it was men that were attacking me early on. And then later on, as I became a teenager in my sleep, it was a woman known as my biological parent who wanted to do that with me. I would find her on top of me in the middle of the night, oftentimes. At 13 years old, there's no reason for your female parent to come into your room repetitively every single night, never miss a step, disturbing my sleep while I needed sleep for school the next day. Oftentimes I go to school the next day and I would be sent out of the classroom to sit outside on a chair because I couldn't calm down. I was always looking outside myself for attention. I'm able to find kids and young adults, for some reason I'm really great at this, to speak to about these problems, because they also suffer from these situations that they faced as well, monsters in their own households. One of my favorite individuals is my artist who speaks about this as well. He's a foster kid, now 30-something years old, went through something painful growing up, and is also a dad of two amazing, beautiful little girls who love him so much. But he's in constant pain and nightmares from his childhood. Um, he was a victim, and he deserves recompense, justice. And he oftentimes speaks about his inability to even talk to legal sources to get that story out there. So I've chosen to use my voice as a forefront. I'm one of the chosen ones, is what they say, to stop childhood sex slavery in the American dynamic, and to open the conversation that it's happening in every single block. Uh, if you live in a square block of 30 homes, one of those homes has this activity going on. It's part of the human psyche. It's a very common thing. It is the most common thing in our human existence right now. So while we're all psyched out about COVID and drinking ourselves to death in front of our children, some of us can't wait for our kids to turn 21 so we can become drinking buddies with them and best friend them. That is an immature stance in life. That is a place in your soul that you need to reflect on and build yourself away from. If you're someone who says, hey man, I have the right, I'm going to drink a bottle of scotch tonight and you can fuck all the way off, Joe Dirt. I believe you have that right. But while you do that bottle of scotch and you go into the bed with your significant other and you tell them that they're going to do something for you while you're drunk, that act is not love. It's not. It's not. That act is just an act of whatever it is. God didn't put us here to love in this way. Love through alcohol, love through fentanyl. Nah, that's not love, man. If you want real love, you got to go within, and you do have to seek out spirit. And I know that many of us are not attached to spirit. We believe that we are ourselves, only existing for the sake of existing. Work, eat, sleep, poop, and sleep with crazy individuals who mess with our psyche. That ain't it, man. It just ain't it. It can be a roller coaster ride, and I am not perfect. Man, I am not perfect. Not Chet. But I have wisdom, and I have the ability to speak on it. So here I am. I create great music. I'm going to give the music to the world, but also have a story to tell about the science of betrayal and the expectation that this is going to happen to your kids. This is going to happen to your kids' kids until you begin to tell the story of how truth came out and we could stop it. Love yourself today and love yourself enough to speak up. If you want justice, tell your story. Write about it, blog about it. Tell your entire family what happened when you were 12, maybe you're 50 years old, and they just need to know. If Uncle Bob is dead and he's the one who did it, go ahead and tell the story. Free yourself. Because anyone that passes judgment about you and your circumstance as it is today as an adult, they are also dead inside. Just remember that. And I mean dead. They have no culture. They don't know where they're from. They don't know why they're here. They're stuck in what's called the Matrix. In the next upcoming year or 2 years, we're going to enter a cycle way greater than the Great Depression. The fall of the American dollar is coming. You're going to be asked to leave your homes that you purchased and become renters, or even live in caravans of campers and things like that. That's going to be a start. We're also going to lose our food benefits. We're going to lose the ability to shop at box stores. And most of us are no longer going to be able to eat at McDonald's and all the fast food establishments because they will not be able to pay a critical wage because the dollar will have fallen. That means that even at $20 an hour, the purchase power of that $20 will only be today's market price of about $8 to $6, maybe less. $1 million home will no longer be valued at $1 million. It'll be valued at like $100,000. Because money won't be even attainable. We won't be able to work for wages at all. We will have to just volunteer or sit at home and be depressed and suicidal. But we'll have to figure it out, won't we? For me, I'm going to disappear. I'm just going to talk to you on YouTube. I can't be involved with the public too much. And I can't be involved with what's going on inside of the arrogance and sophisticated thought processes of sociopathic narcissists that are at the forefront of our government, our military system, CIA, the entities that love to look into our phones and things like that. Even this video, while I'm making it, my phone is recording me. There's certain entities that are actually watching me record this. They've already found out that I'm part of the God body. I'm one of the very chosen few. And they do want to study me, and they also want to execute me. I'm ready for that. Martyrdom is something that I enjoy the thought of. I've already sent, death spells upon most of them. Some of the ones that are watching me right now through this this video have unfortunately fell victim to a certain woman, and that's why they're attached to me, because they met her. She gave them HIV, unfortunately, because they all have, sexual desire for her and want to control her. They didn't know that she carried HIV, and that's a problem for them. And they want to hurt me because I brought her here. Well, not my bad, bro. So anyway, we're going to have to all figure it out. There's a whole culture out there that's going to be living murderous lives. The shooting is going to start, and it's going to accelerate. Violence is going to come. Extreme violence is going to come, but it's going to be random. And the only thing that we've been able to see right now is that the hood communities, black and brown communities that are aware that this is coming, is going to come from white men. And their intolerant arrogance for power and control. So, that being said, I'm on a mission to at least tell you about it so you can prepare yourselves and go further underground. Learn to build gardens, in-home gardens. Learn to use solar. Learn to eat vegetable matter instead of animal matter. If you can raise chickens, try to raise chickens. It's hard to keep chickens alive because of the predators around. Some people don't have farms and households like that anyway, so what are you going to do? We're going to have to resource vegetable matter at a large scale, and we're going to have to deliver it to families freely and willingly without payment accepted. That's the only way to keep the food sources going. Like I said, food cannot be delivered because all food comes from one source, known right now as the Food Services of America, which services every single restaurant in America via trucks. But the trucking system is going to collapse because wages will not be able to be made available for the workers. So they will literally have to volunteer, which they won't, because they'll have to work for a narcissist named Bob. And Bob's a fucking cocksucker. And really, we just need Bob to die. And we need his family to also pass away. And we need to take over the chosen ones and pass. I do hope that when Bob passes, that it's a painful experience. And that he suffers tremendously. I already know how the devil works. He wants me to suffer as well. The only thing is that he can't make me suffer because I'm not scared of him. I like that he watches me. It's fun for me. I like the psychological gameplay of him wanting to be me, wanting to know how I even became empathetic towards others when he was never born for that. He was only positioned to believe that he was here to take and take and take and take and take. Same with my former wife. She loves taking. She loves taking penis to the mouth, the butt, and the vagina. She can't even stop herself. Terrible, huh? I don't mind saying that. That's just a human condition. A lot of women that see me say things like that would be like, well, that's terrible. You would say that, Joe. It's not terrible. It's the truth. That's what we are. We're sex addicts. We're pornographers and pushers of it. So what's so wrong is what they say. Many of us are enjoying polyamorous lifestyles. Free love. Spreading STDs and all that. God didn't want that for you. That's a human experience. Oh, but sin. Sin is okay, Joe, because we know that we're saved. No, you're not. Actually, Jesus doesn't walk with sinners like that. He leaves the room. And when they come back and pray the next day about their sinful experience the night before, some of them believe they're saved again and made new. You're not made new until you show and prove that you cannot do what you used to do. But unfortunately, the addictions are so set in our mainframe that they just are true. So the devil is winning, and many souls are convinced that the devil is God. So they're praying to Satan. They even set up black magic. They convince former Christians to come into the black magic community and do death spells and things like that against people like me, empaths, who want justice for what they went through. Well, my only thing is I get to pray about it. When I talk to God, I have a direct line to Jesus and to my Father in heaven. He speaks to me pretty much fluidly, and it's a wild experience. I was actually told that there's a good possibility that my actual blood is of Jesus Christ. And if that's true, that means that Jesus had children. And if that's true, we don't know who his children were, but there's a few of us out here that are his kids. Some of us get that kind of sneaky suspicion. I have a sneaky suspicion that man put Jesus in prison. And that's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I believe that Jesus is here. I believe that Area 51 is where we hold Jesus. Very strange thing, right? But since they know that he is eternal and he cannot die, he literally looks one way, probably somewhere around 30 years old, and he sits in a glass cell, and he speaks prophecy, and they gather it from him, and he talks about how his Father is ashamed of us and our will towards keeping him locked in a cage. I mean, I thought about it. Maybe it's not so. But Area 51 is the most guarded secret in the world. It's protected heavily. And the men and women that are allowed to even be there know things and are not allowed to speak on them. In order for them to be able to work there, their families are known, their existence is known, and they will be executed by the government if they ever speak out. And they will execute any man, woman, or child that tries to enter the premises. So many people, look at it with video cameras and are very, concerned about it. Some of us just kind of know things. I'm one of the knowers and seers. I would like to meet my brother. Maybe he's my father. I don't know how to refer to him. I would love to see him and tell him I love him. Tell him I'm sorry that man wants to keep him in a cage and allow fake prophets to deploy prophecy on us the Roman Catholic religion. It's false. It is so false. It gives us hope. I mean, the Pope seems like a good dude. Maybe I even seem like a good dude. I'm not. I'm a human being. I have the power to lie and convince you of falsehoods. I'm not doing that right now, though. But I have that capability. I can manipulate you, for sure. I can manipulate a woman and fall in love with me, show her characteristics that are cool and desirable, and then all of a sudden, just be aloof and not really put the effort into her the way that she would have wanted. It's possible. Which is why I'm solo. I've been solo for 3 years. So I'm capitalizing off this opportunity. I like YouTube. I like the platform. I don't really care who hates me or who loves me. I'm just here to speak. You're a divine experiencer. You're here to experience and observe and then pass on information into the fifth dimension, which is heaven or whatever you want to call it. It is a dimension. If you really want to know, I would start to research YouTube videos based on near-death experience testimonials. Go on TED Talks and type in near-death experience and look at neurosurgeons and surgeons that have done thousands of surgeries on people that pass away on their table and come back to life and explain what they just experienced. These are not false experiences. Certain